Hello friends, welcome to the channel. As in the previous video, we have covered some important features and functions of MS Excel along with filtering and sorting option. In this video, we are going to cover some more interesting topics like page setup, print titles and freeze panes, means how you can set up the page for your final printout, or we can say that for sharing with other persons or to save as PDF. And second is print titles, means how to repeat rows at the top and columns at the left of the sheet. And how to freeze panes, means how to freeze rows and columns for better understanding while working with the worksheets. So let's start. Here is the report that we had also used for the previous videos. So this is the report with roll number, name and section. Next we have subject 1, 2 and subject 3. So let's start by adding a column as serial number 1, 2, and we have already covered how to drag and fill this column. So this is completely filled, and by the time we are filling it, it is also selected. So you can simply border it using this option and just align it to the center. Let's make the heading bold. Now we are starting with the freeze panes first, means how you can freeze rows or columns as per your requirement. Suppose you are scrolling down the sheet, you will not be able to see the headings. So how you can do this while scrolling, that you must be able to see the heading. For that you need to freeze this row. And how you can do this? Simply go to the view, and from view you have the option this freeze panes. From freeze, as we want to freeze the top row, so you need to select freeze top row. Just click on this and your top row is freezed. You can see while scrolling, the top row is freezed, means it is fixed at the first position, and you are able to see, or you are able to relate every data with its respective heading. So this is the way how you can freeze, as if you are working with long sheets, so it is difficult to remember so many headings. So this is the best option. Next, sometimes we also need to freeze the columns, means if the sheet is having multiple columns, then you will not be able to track the roll number of students. Suppose this time at this position I will not be able to track the roll number for the student having subject marks as 21, 28 and 21. Okay, so for that requirement you need to freeze some columns. Okay, so suppose you want to freeze only first column, then again you need to go to view, freeze panes, and from there you can freeze the first column. Okay, so here is the option to freeze first column only. We will see later how we can freeze multiple columns and multiple rows on the top and multiple columns. So for the time, I am just clicking on the option freeze first column. So first column is freezed here, and while moving horizontally, the column is not changing, it is freezed. Okay, but here if you scroll down, the row that was freezed earlier is unfreezed now, means the row is not freezed anymore. So either you can freeze the first column or the top row. So if you want to freeze both things, means I want to freeze first row of column as well as the first row, just highlight it. So if I want to freeze first row, first column and the first row, then you need to place or select the cell at the right after the intersection of the first row and the first column, means diagonally. If this is the intersection point, then you need to select the next cell diagonally at the intersection of the rows and columns. So I have selected this cell. Let me highlight this for you. So I have selected this green cell, means I am pointing to this cell so that I can freeze first row and first column means all the rows above this cell and all the columns before this column. Okay, all the column before this column will be freezed. So for that option, again go to view, freeze panes, and this time firstly you need to unfreeze because we have freezed column. So firstly you need to unfreeze all, and now you can choose the freeze panes. After choosing this, your first row and your first column are freezed. Suppose you want to freeze first two columns, then in that case this column should be freezed along with the first column, means first two columns should be freezed. In that case you need to place your cursor, means the selected cell should be this. Let me highlight this. I have highlighted this with green. So this cell should be selected to freeze first row and first two columns. So at the intersection of this last selected column or last selected rows to be freezed, I need to select the cell, and after that you need to go to freeze. Firstly you need to unfreeze all the panes that you have freezed earlier, and after selecting this, now you can freeze panes. Now your first row is freezed and two first columns are freezed, you can see. Okay. Now the next option is how you can select print titles. Print titles means the headings to be printed on every page or the columns to be followed on every page. If you have a sheet with multiple columns, the columns that you want to repeat on every page or the row you want to repeat on every page while printing or while saving the worksheet as a PDF file. Okay, so for that you need to select the print titles, means the titles to be printed on the top or on the left side of the sheet. So for that you need to select print titles, and you must be thinking why we are going for print titles if we have freeze the rows and columns. But the frozen rows and columns are for the sheet only, they are for the worksheet only. If you try to print this sheet or you try to save it as PDF, you will not be getting the print titles or print column to be repeated on every page. Okay, for example, let me repeat this. Okay, now your file cannot be printed on one page now, as it has number of columns that cannot fit for one page. So you are going to see the print preview, file, print, and here you can see the print titles, means first row and two columns are repeated vertically only. You see the titles, the first row is not repeated for the second page, so on it's not repeated for the third page. Now see the pages in the horizontal manner, mean in landscape, then horizontally. The next we have this sheet as the fourth page. So the rows and title rows and title columns are not repeated here, not for this fifth page and not for this sixth. So freezed columns and rows are for the worksheets only. If you try to print it or if you try to save it as PDF, the columns and rows will not be repeated on every page. For that you need to set print titles. So go to page layout, and here you have the option of print titles. Select print title. Now here you will be asking for rows to repeat at top, means for every page for printing or saving as PDF, the rows you want to repeat on the top. So for that you just need to click on this arrow option and select the rows. It can be more than one row to be repeated on the top, and you can select the column to repeat at left. Now the column, I need two columns to be repeated on the left as 1, A and B. Okay. And then you simply need to select OK. But here just understand this thing, as I need to repeat first row, so it is printing like $1, $1, colon, $1. Suppose you need to select 2 rows to repeat on the top, then you simply need to write $1, colon, $2. Okay, and if you want to repeat only one column at the left, then you simply need to write $A, colon, $A. But here we need to repeat 2 columns at the left, then I would be writing $A, colon, $B. And as I want to repeat only first row, then it will be $1, colon, $1. Accordingly, you can mention the row numbers to repeat at the top and column numbers to be column names to be repeated at the left, and then click OK. Now let's see the print preview after setting the print titles. Now you can see the freezed rows and columns to be repeated at every row because we have set them as the print titles. Okay, so there is difference between print titles and freezed columns and rows. So here is the first row, first page, second page, third page. Now you can see the heading is repeated on every page, first page, second page and third page. Same way, the rows, 2 columns on the left and the row at the top is repeated for the 4th page, 5th page, 6th page. Here the 7th page is also created because it is going out of the boundary of 6th page. So here is your 7th page, 8th page and 9th page. So whatever page you are printing or selecting, every page will be assigned with the print title as the row to be repeated at top and the columns to be repeated at the left. The last option that we are going to discuss is the page setup. Now how to set up the page? This is the setting that this is the type of view that you are going to get while printing or saving the file as PDF. Suppose I want to adjust this large column to be printed along with the second page or the first page, means along with first 3 pages in first slot we can say, or in the second slot that is starting from the 4th page. Okay, as you notice, these are the pages from the horizontal data that I just pasted from the first three columns. Now let's go for the page setup. So page setup, with page setup you have the option to set the margin. First of all, you can set the margin, or you can set the normal margin with some space to be left for the top, left, bottom and right, and some space for the header and footer, predefined space for header and footer. And you can set the narrow margin where you will be having less space, comparative less space at top, bottom, right and left. Next, you can also provide the custom margins, means you can select the space or reduce or increase the space to be repeated at the top or at the bottom as per your requirement. And after setting this page size and free space size, you just need to click OK. Okay, now see the second setting. For page setup, you can select the orientation. As my data is more horizontally than vertically, so I can also select the landscape, where the data can be adjusted in landscape manner, means in horizontal manner. And for that you can again see the print setup. Now the pages are adjusted horizontally. Okay, now let's adjust the margin again. So I am setting the narrow margin. Now up to this point, if you are able to see this dashed line, up to this we have the first page, and next we have the dashed line over here. So this is the page break that indicates the beginning of second page from this point, but we are not able to track pages, means where the first page is ending or the second page is starting. These dashed lines are providing you that preview. The first page is ending at this line and the second page is starting at this point. And next you have the third page from this section and fourth page from the bottom section. So to clearly view the page-wise division of data, you can select the page break preview. That can be selected from here or from here. So this is the page break preview. Simply click on the page break preview. This is the preview, page preview. Here you can see the page 1 is ending at this blue line. The page 1 is ending at this line. Page 2 is ending at this point. And here is the page 3. This is our page 3 and page 4 is here. Page 4 is covering very less of data. So let's play with the page. Here the page 5th is this, means after selecting pages vertically, then we go to next horizontal page, next page in horizontal in landscape manner. So here this is the 5th page up to this point. This is the page number 5. This is page number 6 and this is the page number 7. You can adjust these blue margins to add or remove data from a page. Means suppose you want to adjust this section to page number 5th. So you can decrease the area of the page 1 and these two columns are now added to page number 5. Let's see it again. Earlier the boundary of page 5 was starting from this point. And you can simply drag and adjust the areas according to your requirement. Suppose I want to cover or add these columns to the next page. So here you can simply drag the blue lines as page 1's area is reduced and page 5's data is increased. So you can easily perform these type of page settings in page break preview. This is page break preview. Now, let's make some changes. Suppose I want to add the page 4 data to page 3, 2 and 1. Means I don't want to extend the data up to page number 4. So what you can do, you can increase the data of page 1 vertically. Suppose I have added 3 more rows. So page 1's data is increased vertically by simply selecting and dragging this blue line, and let's increase the page 2 data as well. So I am increasing 2 rows for page 2 and now page 4 is finished. Means we are not having any requirement of page 4 vertically, but the page number 4 as this was page 5 earlier, now it is page 4 and page 6 became page 5 and page 7 became page 6. So this is the page setup, how you can set margins, how you can set the print titles for your printing. Now you can anytime you can move back to normal view or the page layout view. So coming back to your normal view, or let's see the print preview first. So as we have already set the margins, as I had selected for the narrow margins, so that's why I am having very less space left before the first column, I must say. So you can adjust the margins according to your requirement. This is your page number 2, this is 3, page 4, page 5 and page 6. So you can easily perform these type of settings in page break preview. And go back to the normal preview. We are back into normal view. So that's it for this video. Hope you learned something, how to freeze panes, how to set print titles and perform page setup. So see you in the next video. Till then, bye and take care.